What is up, guys? Delboy here. Just a quick prediction video for the upcoming fights this weekend. I will be talking about the junior middleweight card. I was going to do sort of more detailed breakdowns for these fights, but I'm not sure how I am going to be for time this week, so I thought I'd make some quick predictions and just leave it at that. We will start with Jarrett Hurd versus Austin Trout. I really like this fight, I have to say. I think it's a good fight for Jarrett Hurd at this stage of his career. I was relatively impressed with his performance against Tony Harrison. A lot of people weren't. A lot of people say that Jarrett Hurd is the weakest guy at 154. And that could potentially be true, but I still think he's a very good fighter, good pressure fighter. He consistently works the body. He'll come forward, he'll let his hands go. Decent power, decent pop. You know, puts his shots together quite well. He's got a lot of things going for him. He's entertaining. He seems to have quite a good gas tank. And also his chin looks to be pretty solid because Tony Harrison can punch a bit, and I never really felt that Jarrett Hurd was hurt in that fight. He broke down Tony Harrison after rounds of pressure, and I felt it was quite a good performance. Austin Trout to me is another step up from that fight. I think Austin Trout is without doubt the best guy Jarrett Hurd has ever fought, and I think this is going to be a 50-50 fight. If we look at both guys, I think you've got to say Trout is a better defensive boxer. I do think he is the better technician out of the two, and I do feel in this fight his best chance is to try to outbox Jarrett Hurd, because in stages of the Tony Harrison fight, Hurd was getting outboxed from the outside, and Trout can definitely do that. I felt we saw against Miguel Cotto where Trout completely outboxed him. I know Cotto is a smaller guy, but it was still a good performance. He also outboxed Canelo at stages as well. So I do think Austin Trout has the boxing ability to sort of lead on the back foot and make Jarrett Hurd come forward and counter. I do think Trout can do that. The thing is with this version of Austin Trout, I'm not sure he can do that consistently. I think there's going to be stages where he gets backed up against the ropes, where he's stationary and where he ships punishment. We saw that against Jamal Charlo. There are stages where Trout was boxing very well and winning some rounds against Charlo, but at stages he was trading, and while he was having success, you always felt Jermell Charlo was doing the more damage. So I think he has the talent to outbox Hurd. I just don't think he does it on a consistent basis, and I think I've got to just about favour Jarrett Hurd here. He is the younger man, he's fresher, he's had less fights. And also he's coming into this fight with a lot more momentum. He is the champion. Austin Trout has been inactive. So I think a lot of things favour Jarrett Hurd in this fight. But I do think it's a good step up fight. I would not be surprised in any way if Austin Trout pulled it off and got a decision win, because he is a talented fighter in his own right. I have been back and forth on this one, but I will pick Jarrett Hurd by decision. The next fight I want to talk about is a great fight. Jermell Charlo versus Erickson Lubin. Great fight. I think Jermell Charlo is slightly underrated, and I think that's partly because of Jamal Charlo, his twin, is kind of making the headlines right now. I think Jermell is pretty good. You know, he's had some good performances. He beat Rosado quite easily. In his last fight, I felt he looked really good against Charles Hatley. He also beat Vanes Martirosyan. I thought that fight was quite clear. A lot of people felt it was close. I felt Jermell Charlo clearly won it. The only fight where I felt Jermell Charlo looked bad was against what's his name? He looked bad against Julian Jackson's son. I forgot his name, but he looked bad in that fight, and he was trailing, but he came back and got the knockout win. So I think Jermell Charlo has done some good things. He's got some good skills. He can fight on the back foot. He can be more aggressive, as we saw against Julian Jackson's son. He is quite versatile. He seems to be punching harder recently as well. 2 good knockouts in a row. You know, he knocked out Charles Hatley cold, and he also got a good knockout against Julian Jackson's son. So I think Jermell Charlo is coming into his own now. You know, boxing well, being more aggressive, and having some good success. Erickson Lubin, on the other hand, is a great up-and-coming prospect, but has he had enough seasoning to take this fight? I'm not so sure. Again, I like what I see from Erickson Lubin. Puts his shots together extremely well, works the body, good counter-puncher, creative with his offense. We saw the knockout against Jorge Cota. Watch that knockout back. It's a really good knockout, you know, and he's a very talented fighter with athletic ability, good punch selection, things of that nature. He's aggressive, he can box, he's got a lot of things going for him. But does he have the seasoning here? Me personally, I would have liked to have seen Erickson Lubin in with somebody like Ishe Smith or Vanes Martirosyan, you know, somebody along those lines before this fight, just to give him a little bit more experience, you know, fighting at a higher level, because right now Erickson Lubin hasn't really beat anybody. You know, Jermell Charlo has been in there with guys like Vanes Martirosyan. He's been in there with Gabriel Rosado, you know. Even guys like Charles Hatley are far better than anybody Erickson Lubin has beaten so far. So Jermell is definitely the more experienced guy, and he might be a little bit too seasoned for Erickson Lubin. A lot of people are picking Lubin here, and I can see why. He's got a hell of a lot of talent, hell of a lot of upside. But I've been really impressed with, I was really impressed with Jermell's last performance against Charles Hatley, and I was impressed by the way he knocked out Julian Jackson's son. He started badly, but he never really got discouraged. He always kept trying, and he got the knockout. I do like Jermell Charlo. I think he's a little bit better than people give him credit for, and I actually think he's going to win this fight. I'm going to pick a Jermell Charlo win. I'm not sure what manner he does it in, whether it's stoppage or points, but I could see either or. You know, whether it's late stoppage or points win. I just feel Jermell Charlo is going to have a little bit too much experience, too much know-how, too much seasoning, and he'll win this fight. But I do feel Lubin will make a good account of himself, and he will come again. I think he's a very good talent, but I just feel this could have come a little bit too early for him. Maybe I'm wrong though, you know. I've been wrong many times on this channel, but yeah, I'm going to go with a Jermell Charlo points/late knockout. The last fight isn't quite as good, but I'll still mention it. Erislandi Lara versus Terrell Gausha. Erislandi Lara is defending his WBA 154-pound title. And I have to say right from the bat, I expect Lara to win this fight in good fashion. I think it will be either a one-sided points win or a late stoppage. I expect Lara to dominate this fight. I've seen Terrell Gausha a few times now on undercards. I actually recall seeing this guy back in like 2013 on the undercard of Austin Trout versus Canelo, and that was like his third pro fight, and he got dropped hard, and arguably he lost that fight against a journeyman. He looked pretty poor that night, and I've seen him a few times since, and he's never impressed me. You know, he's had some close decisions against like journeyman type fighters. He's okay, he'll come and fight, but there's not enough there to trouble Erislandi Lara. Gausha will give it a go, but he's just going to get outboxed, countered, and possibly stop late. But yeah, Erislandi Lara, late KO/easy points win. Can't see Lara having any trouble here. But again, you never know. Sometimes these underdogs come out of nowhere and surprise you, you know. But yeah, just my quick picks. I have Jarrett Hurd by points. I have Jermell Charlo by points or late stoppage. And I have Erislandi Lara points or late stoppage. What do you guys think? Peace.